to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
I grew up in upstate New York. Brutal winters, like really snowy, because we not only had, we're up north, but we would get lake effect snow, which is like all the water accumulates over the lake and then just dumps on your city. So I think
this is a big lake. What lake are we talking about?
Lake Ontario.
Oh, so one of the great ones.
Right. Get out of Rochester was like my number one goal. I just wanted to leave the miserable town of Rochester. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. All I want to do is just go anywhere that's a city, because Rochester is so, like, nothing's happening. Like, we would party in, like, fields. Like, there's nothing going on.
Bonfires.
Yes, exactly. Looking back, I mean, Rochester's not a bad place. It's a great place, but not for somebody that's, like, itchy and wants city and hustle and bustle. So that's all I wanted.
Oh my! Hello, my fellow Earthlings. This is Hikaru Sulu. You may remember me as the helmsman for the Starship Enterprise. I don't usually listen to podcasts, but when I do, it's two strangers, one podcast. Chris and Paul make me feel like I have a tribble in my pants. Set phasers to sexy. Suck it, Shatner.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And if I timed it correctly, I believe the beginning of this episode, that was internet, YouTube, I guess like number 3 most downloaded person on YouTube, or most viewed person on YouTube, Jenna Marbles, on a podcast called Ear Biscuits from Rhett and Link. And I generally don't like those guys, but I listened to the podcast because Jenna was on it and I think she's cute. But I guess apparently Jenna is from Rochester, New York, where both Paul and I are from. Yet we don't necessarily meet to record. We do this over Skype. But
yeah, it's because you smell. I'm sorry.
It's the cat. I swear to God, it's the cat. And so
that's what she said.
And it's basically her talking about how like the winters up here are very rough and the lake effect. And here we are. It's like Easter just passed like 2-3 days ago, and it's still fucking freezing. Yet there'll be days where we have, it'll jump up to 85 degrees and people are barbecuing and people are running around in shorts. But then, then Mother Nature just says, "Fuck you," another day of cold. So I've been just locked up in my home because I'm too scared to be cold.
I'm warm. I'm cold. I'm warm. I'm cold. It's like you're you have the flu or something. What the hell is going on?
And I swear, if I hear the term lake effect one more time, because it's funny because she mentions it. And, up here, since we are literally right off of Lake Ontario, there is a lot of we do get a lot of cold weather because we are so close to the lake. And it's so funny to hear someone, I didn't realize that she was from Rochester, but to hear someone say lake effect outside of Rochester, just
kind of fun.
Sends both literal and figurative chills down my spine. So keeping kind of in theme with the Rochester thing, and we usually talk about nerdy stuff. Not that there was really a big thing to mention, but the Amazing Spider-Man. I believe what I've heard is that it's called The Amazing Spider-Man: The Rise of Electro. But I haven't I heard.
No, I think it's just called. It's all it's called is Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's it.
I'll find out when I actually see it. But that's what I heard, and I'm totally stealing from another podcast. But basically these people in Australia who had a chance to see it already, hasn't hit the United States, not yet.
Bastards.
And oh yeah, those fucking guys. I'm moving to Australia, man, because I may have insulted them.
Move anywhere in Europe or something, because they always get to see these movies first before us.
Yeah.
Damn, son of a bitches.
I like Australia. Australia sounds like a place I would like to go to, just to, because...
Shut up, you just want to go to the nude bitches. You want to go to the nude beaches, see all these nude women. Come on now, shut up.
Well, no, seriously, and I think I've mentioned this a long time ago. Every female, or every woman that I've met from Australia I've never met a truly, in person, I'm not talking about celebrities, I never truly met an attractive woman from Australia.
Really?
I know that's a real fucked up thing to say, but that being said, they make up for not being that quote unquote traditionally attractive by just being just goers, just doers, just girls that know how to have a good time, I guess would be the best way to put it. So, I mean, not that I'm fucking Prince Charming over here, but the girls that I've met from Australia are real party girls. You know what I'm saying? They know how to have fun. So, Because when I live in New York City, you meet people from all around the world, and it's hard not to get that accent, and and I mean, you get to know them and stuff like that, and they're fun. Looks aren't everything. Just look at me. So
they're true. Oh,
yeah. So basically, and we've mentioned it in the past also, is that I'm assuming this is going to be like an opening scene in Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Was filmed up here in Rochester, which, last year they were filming, and it made, the whole city had like Spider-Man fever, and people were going out by the freaking, there were literally hundreds of people lining up and down Main Street, which is where they filmed it down here, which is, basically the main street of Rochester in the middle of downtown. And you got like hundreds of people. Now, mind you, these guys are doing like practical, stunts, as in, they got cars, they have like a Mack truck just plowing through like a barricade, like police cars make like a barrier, and the Mack truck just blasts right through it. And mind you, there's people like literally just behind a stupid little metal fence, like those little police barricades, like no real safety, and people are standing right there. And these guys, and they were driving. I mean, it was, to give them props for practical effects, that truck was driving at full speed, ramming through the police cars. And of course, Hollywood being Hollywood, they filmed that scene a couple of times, and then there's a guy, it wasn't Andrew Garfield or whatever the hell his name is, but there was a stuntman dressed up like Spider-Man, I'm assuming a stuntman, I mean, on the hood of a police car while it was driving.
Right.
So that was, I'm pretty sure there was some sort of like safety latch or something keeping him on the roof, but, I gotta give him props, and from what I've heard, from what I've heard about this movie, obviously there's a lot of CGI, but they try their best to keep the effects practical, which is freaking awesome, and I'm excited to see this movie. From what I've heard online, I've got, once again, from people in Australia, they haven't exactly given it a glowing review, but of course they said, it's better than part one, which isn't that hard in my opinion. And I didn't like it. I wanted to like it, but I didn't like it. So that being said, I just, there's a little piece of Rochester for those of you who want to just see, I wonder what downtown, midtown, Main Street Rochester looks like. It'll be in the first.
They don't want to know about Rochester. It's bad enough that there's fucking shootings happening like right down the street from my where my girlfriend is at the moment.
And actually where your girlfriend is probably a couple blocks away from where I work. And,
exactly.
There was a guy, like, I don't know if I mentioned this a while back. There was a guy who got like killed by a city bus.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, literally, once again, like from where your girlfriend is staying right now, like where she's with her daughter.
It actually, apparently it wasn't like, the bus got like, somebody like came in front of them and then they drove off, and that was the reason why they hit him, so.
Cause this is what I got from like people on the street that, there was a car, there was
my people on the street.
Well, I'm saying people on the street. I mean, there were people literally like coming into my place of business talking about it moments after it happened. And it was basically, one car had gotten in the way of another car, for all intents and purposes, kind of like pushing them out of the way. That car basically went into the driver's side of a city bus. And of course, the city bus being a city bus, it was fine. I mean, the bus driver went to the hospital, but I think when you're in a situation like that and you're like a civil servant and you're your best bet is to go to the hospital just to like cover your ass, so he went to the hospital. The driver of the car that got hit by the city bus died automatically, immediately. There was a passenger in the car. The passenger got hurt, and then, and there's
you're making this podcast so dramatic now.
Well, no, but I mean, I can't. A guy died in my job. Oh, I don't know if you would consider it dying, but and I'm once again, this totally not. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not adding to this story. The guy just fell backwards like a sack of fucking potatoes, just. And, we have security video. We watched it. It was, just to, cause, corporate wants to make sure that, well, they want to know what the hell happened. So this guy just fell backwards. I had called 911. The fire department showed up very fast. Fire departments are basically first responders, and they were performing CPR. And once again, I had heard that, now mind you, I was the one that called 911. This guy died probably 10 feet away from me. But then again, I don't know if you consider that dying, because if you're still giving someone CPR, they aren't technically dead. But I mean, whatever parts of his body shut down right then and there while he was waiting online. Boom, fell right out in the store. He ended up going to the hospital. From what I understand, he passed away in the hospital, later on that afternoon. So yeah, that area where I work and, a few blocks away from where your girlfriend's staying, there's just death and fucking destruction in that area. It's very much like, have you seen the movie The Purge? That movie of like, where it's like, it's supposed to be like a kind of futuristic America, and like one day out of the year for 12 hours.
Yes. I haven't seen the movie, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I was watching that movie, and I'm like, I work in that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? 24 hours a day, crime is legal because there are people who are just getting away with fucking I mean, yeah, I see cops around the neighborhood where I work, but I mean, really, it's not, there are people who literally get away with murder. Even that car, the car that had kind of forced the other car to go in the way and get hit by the bus, that car is still being looked for, if I understand correctly. Like, the cops have been questioning people, and no one seems, they haven't found that guy,
Right.
And then also, by us, also kind of big news, like 2 Christmases ago, there was a guy that, what did he do? He set a fire or something like that, and then he was shooting at the firemen when they got there.
Yeah.
And now they're, I mean, I guess, well, then again, that's around your neck of the woods, right? Or no?
No, that's up in Webster.
Webster, excuse me. And
Webster's up by the lake, basically. And it's in hick country.
And they did investigating, and they found out like this woman, I think she sold them or she gave him the guns or something.
Apparently she bought the guns for him, and she got convicted of it, but it was like an accounting crime, so she only got like 4 years, and everybody's like, well, that's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of, I mean, and see, that's, we spoke about gun violence before in the past, and, my biggest thing was that, I am all for people having weapons rights, but that being said, with that responsibility with that power comes a lot of responsibility, and that woman is the prime example of what's wrong with the system. If someone can't buy a gun, maybe there's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be, or people who, a lot of, obviously, guns that end up in the hands of criminals were legal at one point. Someone had that weapon, they didn't secure it, or they sold it, they came on hard times, or whatever the case may be. Those are the most dangerous people, because they were legal at one point and then somehow became illegal. Guns, as they say in New Jack City, there are no gun factories in the hood, but, saying someone's not doing the right thing. And that includes like gun shows and stuff like that. And we have a gun show coming to Rochester sometime very, very soon. And it's like, you would think after all this controversy with that woman selling the guy the guns to shoot freaking firemen that, you would think there'd be a little bit of a community pushback against having a gun show here in Rochester, but c'est la vie, c'est la vie.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that cling to their guns, so to speak, and I'm not really against anybody that wants to have guns per se, but, I still think that, it's kind of stupid to have it here in Rochester, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this woman, that woman, like I said, that woman's the prime example of what's wrong with the system, where, you have your gun, if you have weapons, your job is to maintain, control and responsibility for them, but... All right, let's get off all this hardcore sad shit.
Actually, I have something that we weren't going to talk about in the show, but it's actually, I just found this out because I'm on Twitter trying to get people to talk to us. Come on, people, you love us.
I want to give a shout out to Monkey Nuts, only because, she's cute and...
Oh, God.
Well, she's cute and I mean...
Racist deprived. Anyways.
Well, no. Well, also, I mean, she seems very funny and stuff like that. So giving a shout out to @Tarzana, it's spelled all kind of weird way, but AKA Monkey Nuts on Twitter. Go on.
Well, Jesus Christ.
I am single. No, sorry.
So apparently Twitter is turning into Facebook. I don't know if anybody just noticed this, but apparently they have this new profile look, and it looks very similar to what Facebook already has. I'm just going to look it up real quick.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah, that home screen look. But it's been like that for a while, though.
No. Like if you go to for example, if I go to my Toonami Faithful page right now, there's a banner at the top of the page, and there's the picture on the side, and then it has all of your posts and everything. Well, if you look at Twitter, it's exactly the same way. It has, it basically has the same kind of look to it, except it has all of its Twitter-esque things. For example, trending, who you should follow. What else? Yeah. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. I mean, I'm on Twitter right now, and it's funny because I still haven't updated my old picture, because back when it was like kind of like a smaller picture, because like my Twitter icon is animated GIF, and it says 2 strangers on podcast for Android on Stitcher and all that that other good stuff. Because, you know, my thing is if I'm going to do activity on Twitter, I might as well at least kind of pimp the podcast. And so, I had made my main picture. It was a GIF of my daughter. It's so cute because she's wearing like a cowboy hat and she's trying to open a door, and I was holding the camera at the time, and she didn't know I was watching her trying to open a door. So while I'm holding the camera, I go, "Hey," and she turns around. So my picture is like, and now mind you, since they stretched it out across the screen, now it's like this extremely pixelated picture of my daughter wearing like a cowboy hat with a surprised look on her face, because I shocked the hell out of her when, you know, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, she was messing around she was trying to open the door, to the bedroom, and so I was just kind of just messing with her or whatever. So it's, you know, I still haven't updated. And let me tell you, dude, I haven't updated my clock in my house. Like I have like one, like, you know, old fashioned wall clock. Like I'm still at freaking, daylight savings time. I haven't updated the clock in my car.
Oh,
I'm doing
God.
math. I'm doing math every hour. Like, I'm either really
Poor
late
little
for
bastard.
work. I'm either really late for work or, oh, that's right. Oh, I still haven't changed it since daylight savings time.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just super fucking lazy sometimes. It's funny the things I choose to give my effort to and then not. You know.
Whatever. What are you gonna do? It's just really weird because like it's kind of funny to see these social media platforms go up against each other because like, for example, and I know Twitter's gonna do it at some point. Tumblr did the smart thing and said, "Hey, let's let them edit their post if they fuck it up." Facebook did the same. Facebook had done the same thing where it allowed you, and they finally put it on their mobile app, which is awesome. But the mobile app, by the way, Facebook. Get with your mobile app because it's really fucking slow. I have the iPhone. It is really fucking slow. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with it, but you need to do something with your app. It's terrible. But anyways, like Twitter's the only platform that I've noticed that doesn't let you edit text. Like, you should be able to go back into your tweet and edit it.
Yeah.
Because we all have phones that at the last minute change your word and then it looks like something completely different than what you said. You know what I mean?
The worst autocorrect, yeah.
Dude, it's like the worst, and it's not just iPhone anymore. It's not just iPhone. The Android phones, I've heard, do the exact same thing, and people are getting really annoyed by it, because the problem is you don't want to take it off, because, well, if you take it off...
Looks like you're hiding something.
Yeah, well, no. If you take off the autocorrect, then you might fucking spell something wrong, so you're all, like, dependent and shaking because, I gotta get the words right. I don't know, something stupid like that, but... You know, it's the point, like, if Facebook's gonna do it, why don't you do it? So I just find it funny, like, how Twitter mimics Facebook, Facebook mimics Twitter, but then yet they can't do one simple thing, like, edit a tweet. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for some reason, and I don't know why it does this, my phone will capitalize a letter in the middle of the word for no fucking reason. Like, you know, I'll say, "Hey guys," and like the U in guys is capitalized for no reason whatsoever. So if you're, for people that are friends of mine on Twitter or Facebook, and basically my Twitter, all my Twitter is to retweet stuff that I've already put on Facebook. And every now and then I'll do like direct messages to people on Twitter, only because, you know, like that's an easier way to reach them. They don't really have a Facebook presence. But for all intents and purposes, my Twitter is basically just reposts of my Facebook stuff. But, so just, you know, for any of my friends or anybody on Twitter that wonders, you know, think I'm trying to do some, like, you know, like how kids write on the internet and it's all like retarded and it's all like, you know, capital letter, lowercase, capital, lowercase, you know, I'm not doing that on purpose. It's my phone, for whatever reason, just decides, "Oh, fuck you, I'm just going to capitalize a letter."
You're a fucking liar.
I'm trying to be secret. I'm trying to be, not secret, I'm trying to be special.
You already are special to me.
I want you to love me. Love me, monkey nuts, love me.
Oh, Lord.
But,
oh God, he's deprived people.
I'm backed up. Actually, no, not really, but that's an whole other story.
We don't talk about that on the podcast. Anyways.
Yeah. First rules, you don't talk about it on the podcast. No, so, right before this show, I mean, other than doing a little show prep, as of today, it was the 22nd a couple minutes ago, I had downloaded, brand new today, and I've been kind of waiting for this, the Cold Heart downloadable content for Batman Arkham Origins. People who follow the show know that one, I'm a diehard Batman fan. I'd actually reviewed Batman Arkham Origins, the video game, for Geeky Inc., your website. And, I'm a huge fan of the Batman Arkham games. Even if Arkham Origins wasn't the greatest game in the world, but I started playing, Cold Cold Heart, which is kind of like a Mr. Freeze, origin story. Not really origin story, but kind of like, it's Mr. Freeze, kind of like when Batman was still like a early, was year one Batman. Like, just like kind of just starting out to do the things that he does as Batman.
Right.
And so far I've been playing it. I mean, I haven't gotten too deep into it because I've been kind of like busy with other stuff. I kind of played it for like 2.5 hours. It seems pretty good. It seems they worked a lot of the bugs out of the game because, of course, with the PlayStation 3, it's like you can't fucking breathe without doing an update.
Right.
Which I understand. Well, I'm pretty sure there's hackers and shit like that. I guess it's good that they're doing updates.
Usually they with these big games, they bring them out. Same thing with the platforms. They bring them out. They have problems with it. They fix them, and then you're all set.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the good thing is, yes, I had to update it before the game, but a lot of like the problems that I was having before, like with the controls and it was doing things that I didn't want it to do. A lot of that stuff has been solved. I mean, I know I originally gave the game like a glowing review, and then after playing it for a little while, I kind of like I started having these little problems with my controls where it was doing things I didn't even want it to do, and like I had for people who are fans of the series, I was playing, I was fighting, what's his face, from Teen Titans, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Deathstroke. I was fighting Deathstroke and I had actually glitched out in the boss battle where I had killed him but he didn't die, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And so, I'd had problems with stuff like that. So, I almost kind of like retracted the review I did on your website because it was like, I thought this game was so awesome, but then it was giving me a bunch of problems. But as of today, I was kind of playing it and it was kind of like, it was an enjoyable experience. Of course, I'm only like 2.5 hours playing. I mean, of course, that's, you're learning how to, but it seems a lot of the bugs have been worked out. I guess they must have gotten a lot of feedback from fans and stuff like that. And obviously for them to release this downloadable content, this new content, it seems pretty decent. I mean, it's kind of weird that you could tell that like the PlayStation 3, like the technology is getting to the point where even the PlayStation 3 is kind of like falling behind because you see kind of like the shading and on the characters' faces and stuff like that looks a little choppy. Like it looks like you could tell it's in-game engine shading, so it looks like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to use the word. It's like, it's, where it's supposed to be where shading is supposed to be a solid, it's kind of like blocky. And so, I mean, but I don't really care about, I mean, that stuff I don't mind. I mean, it's the gameplay, it's the free flowing, one of the big points of playing the Batman games is kind of like doing these long continuous combination moves so you can like, you'll do like 65 moves and take out a whole room full of guys and all this other stuff. And that's the cool part, and before when it was giving me issues with the controls, you couldn't do that. And on, Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, I mastered those games, but Arkham Origins was made by another company. And I think they kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but I think they kind of, they're redeeming themselves a little bit back, with this downloadable content. So if you're a fan of any of those games, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. So, it's $10, you can't go wrong with like, it's like, it's bringing new life to your game and it's only $10. So it's called Cold Cold Heart. But then again, I think anybody who's really into it is already aware of it, but hopefully I won't have to retract that, my past review. Yeah. And also, speaking of retractions, just real quick, but I know we're going to stay on Batman for a moment. I had sat down and actually have watched all the episodes of Rick and Morty. And you know what? I kind of have to retract what I said a couple episodes back. I like the show. I caught myself, I was looking for something else actually, and I ended up watching Rick and Morty. And I watched the whole season, the whole first season. And I still don't like Dan Harmon. I still, I think he tries a little too hard, but the show, I can't put the whole show, he's not the whole show. There's another producer, there's, not a voice talent. I'm sick and tired of anything that has David Cross in it. One of those, like when you have David Cross, it kind of puts you like on this like hipster, kind of like you do it to get hipster cred. And, when people do stuff like that, like it just irritates the shit out of me. So, but I do have to retract something I said a couple episodes back that I finally, like I watched the whole first season of Rick and Morty. and it is a brilliant fucking show. I must
it
have
is
been on the rag that day when I watched it the other time.
You probably were on the rag. Well, you needed to get laid, but anyways. Yeah, I mean, it is a good show. I mean, it's kind of Adult Swim's Simpsons. I guess that's the best way to put it, because it's doing really well for them. Now that Boondocks is back, though, well, yeah. They're not going to be really paying attention to Rick and Morty at the moment. So
yeah, well, I mean, but think about it. Boondocks. I mean, Jesus Christ, they were. What kind of hiatus has that show been on? You know what I'm saying? They haven't put out a new episode in 2-3 years, if not longer. I can't even remember the last time I saw, a new episode of. So maybe the same thing will happen with Rick and Morty, where it'll probably go into some sort of but at least, I mean, the difference between Boondocks, that show's obviously, animated overseas. You know what I'm saying? Like, they purposely go for that anime look, which, is not a problem at all, but, when Rick and Morty, that's obviously a show that's animated on Flash. They don't try too hard to it's, I mean, of course there are the one thing, okay, here's my one complaint also about Rick and Morty. It's not really a complaint. Why does everything look like it has balls? Like, everything looks, like they animate everything to kind of look like dicks and balls and after a while it's like, there's something wrong with these fucking guys. I mean, I know they do it for the comedic effect, but everything looks like it has balls hanging from it, and that's kind of creepy. Okay, so I just wanted to throw that out there as a retraction from my earlier episode. But, Batman, we are celebrating the 75th year of Batman. I mean, it was right around this time that, the first issue of Batman came out. So it's kind of, and it is kind of weird that they aren't doing anything really, really big. Like the Christopher Nolan movies are over. Yeah, we got Batman coming out in the next Superman movie, which isn't coming out for another 2 years. I'm really surprised they haven't done anything really, really huge for the Batman anniversary. But, like we were talking about, for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, for the 75th anniversary, there's actually two animated shorts on the internet right now that are official DC, releases, and one of them involves Batman Beyond, which, yep. I don't know, do you want to spoil it or should we?
I think it's been out there long enough that people have seen it, and if they haven't, well, I mean, you're not really spoiling it. It's a really short Batman Beyond action sequence. It stars Kevin Conroy again. It has Bill Friedle,
20 some odd years.
Yep, the man that plays the new Batman, and Terry McGinnis, and I know I'm Thundercats. I didn't say that. Yeah, I mean, it's just a short. I mean, I really won't tell people what it's all about. It's really quick. You have to keep your eye on everything to see what exactly is going on, but it's pretty awesome, actually.
Well, I mean, fuck it, let's spoil it. Because now that you said that, okay, it's been out long enough. Well, it's Batman Beyond, which you and I both are huge fans of, and would, jizz in our pants if this was some sort of teaser to, letting us know that there's going to be a new Batman Beyond cartoon. Now, obviously, I mean, in being a short, it keeps the style of the cartoon, but I mean, it does look like, little extra love and effort went into it, as opposed to just a generic episode for Batman Beyond. But, it's old Bruce Wayne with the new Terry McGinnis in the Batsuit, and, Terry walks into the Batcave, and Bruce Wayne is getting attacked by, what appears to be Batman, the old school, Bruce Wayne Batman that we know from the animated series or whatever. And so as, Terry McGinnis, ends up eventually, kicking him or whatever in the face, we see circuitry come out, and we realize, and they find out, okay, it's a robot. And so then they go, who would have sent this? And then, then the last line in the short is that, whoever sent it, they didn't make just one. And so the camera pans over, and walking into the Batcave are a whole bunch of different versions of Batman. And yep. Basically it's an homage to all the different styles that Batman has been in, for the past 75 years. So there's one that looks like the original 1940s Batman with the long ears. And there's one that looks like, the 1960s Adam West Batman, and there's God, I gotta think of
of what the shows are. The Batman, that one.
Oh yeah.
What is the name of?
And then there's, I mean, I guess
what's that one?
There's one from the one that kind of going on to our next story that we're going to get to.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in just one sec. But
there's one of the Batmans look like, or Batmans? Batmen?
Yeah, whatever.
How do you pluralize Batman?
It's the one that's from. I'm trying to think. What is the name of that series? It was on Cartoon Network just 2 years ago.
League?
No, it was Batman and Friends or something like that.
Oh, you mean Brave and Bold?
Brave and Bold. Batman, Brave and the Bold. Yeah. I always get that wrong. I don't know why. It's probably because it was crappy.
Well, in all fairness, that was originally a comic book. Like, I was familiar with the comic before the show came out, but I mean, the show was pretty decent. I haven't had a chance to watch all the episodes, but every episode I've watched has been kind of like, cause, the whole point of, kind of like what we're going to go on the next story is that Batman Brave and the Bold try to focus on characters that generally didn't have like a big presence in earlier cartoons, like Plastic Man, Green Arrow. Of course, we have the CW the CW show right now called Arrow, but Green Arrow never really had a big influence in the Justice League or from the earlier cartoons like Super Friends and stuff like that. So that show always kind of focused on characters that were kind of in the universe but never really had their spotlight. But of course, when you put them with Batman, instantly gives them cred. And also just real quick, I just wanted to mention also that, the other animated short that I wanted to mention that DC released for, the 75th anniversary of Batman it's called Strange Days, and it's produced by Bruce Timm, basically one of the driving forces behind Batman the Animated Series. And this one actually, like how the other sketch went in the future with Batman Beyond, this almost looks like if Batman was around in the 1920s.
Right.
It kind of has that, very, very retro, like he's flying the Batwing, but the Batwing has fucking propellers on it. So.
Yeah, it's a plane. It's not like the Batwing that we know.
Yeah, it's not
a jet. More of like a thing, yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's produced by Bruce Timm. Once again, extraordinarily gorgeous and beautiful and kind of makes you like wish that they'd go back and start making more animated series and stuff like that. But with that being said, let's talk about
So one of those Batmans that was included in there was I guess it was the most talked about Batman so far because obviously, this was the first time that a Batman series has technically kind of been canceled, which was Beware the Batman. Before I talk about where it landed, because we already know where it landed if you've been paying attention, but Beware the Batman played for 11 episodes. It was part of the DC Nation thing that they had on Cartoon Network. I believe Green Lantern was still playing at the time when that was happening. And then all of a sudden, Cartoon Network just pulled it. And we don't really have Cartoon Network really hasn't had a explanation for any of this crap, but
it was under different, hopefully they've learned from their mistakes, but, it was under
the guy that stepped down, so hopefully,
the guy that wanted more freaking live action shows on a network called Cartoon Network, so let's just, give an idea of what kind of, guidance and leadership they were under at the time when they canceled such an awesome show.
Well, so basically the question out there had been, okay, what's gonna happen with Beware the Batman? Well, the first thing that happened, obviously, earlier this year was Beware the Batman came out on DVD, and it's 13 episodes. 2 of the episodes obviously did not play on Cartoon Network, so that's out there already. There was people were kind of wondering, okay, what's going on? Why is this not happening? What the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden, last week on the Tumblr, on Toonami Tumblr, I see a schedule that says, Beware the Batman starts May 10th at 3 a.m. I'm like, how did I not see this coming? Because I did kind of think of this one as, maybe it'll show up on Toonami. Well, it showed up on Toonami, so, basically May 10th at 3 a.m., we're going to start from the beginning, and, I'm excited because technically after episode 11, it becomes a premiere series on Toonami. So we get to see, all these episodes that haven't debuted on TV yet. And apparently, and I'm not sure, I can't really say this, but I don't think it's going to be on anything until maybe it goes through Toonami. So hopefully it doesn't come out on DVD and, people don't see it before it gets there, because I would like people to actually have to watch it in order to see these episodes, you know what I mean?
Mm. And well, I mean, just, like we mentioned last week, like with Attack on Titan, I mean, this is the best commercial, if there is a DVD eventually going to be released, I mean, why not, give the fans, the direct audience of the people that are your people to, let them watch the episodes and
Sketch, who's been on this show, we were talking about this on the Toonami Faithful podcast. It actually just came out, today, the day that we're recording. Sketch had said, and I do agree with it, is that, it's kind of funny because this series was directed towards a different audience, towards kids. Problem is, and I don't know if you've seen any episodes of it, Chris, mm-hmm. but it seems to be darker than what it should be for kids.
Yeah.
And now it's actually directed to the secondary audience that wants to see it, you know what I mean? So I guess it's a good thing because, if this series does well, then we can see more DC shows possibly being premiere shows on Toonami. And, it's one of those things where, you get this mixed bag of, well, I could pull up, well, no, I can't pull up Toonami News because those are all deeply embedded in tweets, but basically when this came out, the news came out, we had half of the tweets were, yeah, Beware the Batman's gonna be on Toonami, yeah, maybe this will open the door for more DC shows, and I agree with that. And then we had those people that go, either A, fuck Beware the Batman, B, where's Young Justice, or C, this isn't an anime, why is it on Toonami? And, look, I come off as this lecturing bastard sometimes, but I don't think people really get the idea that Toonami is an action cartoon block, and I think it's more the new fans than the old fans, because I know old fans like me and Sketch and everybody that's at my site understand that this is an action cartoon block, but these new fans are like, yeah, well, I want more anime. I want this anime. I want that anime. When you get a show, when you have the chance to play a show like Beware the Batman and open the door to having possibly adult-like DC shows on your block, you're going to open that door up. I don't know about you, but if it was any other cartoon block, obviously they would do the exact same thing. I mean, am I wrong here?
Yeah, no, I mean, and a couple months ago, they had brought on Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yep.
And of course, one of my first comments when I heard about this was like, wouldn't it be awesome if they put those two back to back? Meaning that, there are two shows that are action animated, computer generated cartoons.
Right.
Even though they're not back to back, I mean, it shows that, Toonami is kind of, I mean, if you're a fan of anime, Beware the Batman or Star Wars: The Clone Wars are gonna be shows that are right up your alley. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like insulting you and saying, well, and some bullshit traditional. I mean, these are shows that are kind of like a little off. They're a little skewed. Saying they're a little, they're not traditional animated cartoons, and it's
I have to say, like, it's one of these things where, yeah, we've brought more anime into the picture, and there's a lot of voice actors and actresses out there that are involved with anime that have said, hey, Toonami saved the industry. If Toonami hadn't come back, we may not be standing here talking to you about all these new anime coming out. I think Toonami is a good medium for these shows too, because the problem is now that the anime market's back, which is great because there's a lot of great stuff coming out of Japan these days. You got these American cartoons that are just, man, me and you, 80s and 90s, dude. Like, we had some of the best cartoons, man. Best fucking cartoons. I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Beast Wars, Thundercats, Silverhawks, G.I. Joe, the good versions of G.I. Joe.
The complaint back then, was, oh, these are just half an hour commercials for toys, which was a booming industry in the 80s where, yes, for every cartoon that we grew up with, yes, of course, yes, there were plastic, there was plastic equivalents you can buy in the store, but that doesn't shake off the fact that these were good fucking cartoons.
Oh yeah, they were.
They shaped our young adulthoods. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though, like, you have a show like G.I. Joe, which, was war. Basically, it was war, for kids. But I mean, I mean, look at some toys. Yeah, but that doesn't take away the fact that it was,
Look at some of these American cartoons that came out, and DC was probably one of the perfect examples of this. I mean, you had Batman the animated series, and then they went Batman the new animated series or whatever. And then you had obviously Batman Beyond. You had Justice League Unlimited. I mean, these were some good American cartoons, dude. Like, I was very happy with those shows, and that was in the late 90s, early 2000s that we were seeing this stuff, So, I mean, it seems like the American market has, and I hate to, kind of put it into a different topic, but it's a good point to bring up because Beware the Batman is one of the few American cartoons around. And if this cartoon can be successful on Toonami, and Toonami can, make this a lot better than what it was perceived as. Because, for me, I never really got to get a chance to sit down and watch the whole 11 episodes that were actually on TV, not obviously the whole series, because the whole series is 26 episodes. But to me, like, we don't get a chance to see a lot of these American cartoons anymore, and I think we miss out on a lot of stuff. Like, for example, I think an example that gets brought up a lot, and it's in the same realm as Mega S.H.E.I.L.D, because the guys at Titmouse made this one too, but was Motor City. A lot of people sit there and they say, oh, Motor City should come to Toonami. And I know a lot of people say that Toonami is like this big freaking ground for rescuing these American cartoons. But here's the problem. If we don't rescue these American cartoons, they're going to just die. And then you're never going to see them again. And you can hope that Netflix is going to pick them up, but you don't know if Netflix is going to pick them up. You know what I mean? Batman Beyond's on Netflix now. Perfect. Awesome. But we don't know, you don't ever know if these, actually Justice League and Justice League Unlimited also are on there. I want to say Superman the animated series is on there too, probably. But the point I'm trying to make is when you have an opportunity to play an American cartoon, when you have the chance, you might as well take the chance and put it up, play it, and I'm really hoping that we see some more, and I did talk about this on the last Toonami Faithful podcast. I'd like to see some more original DC series. I'd like to see some more. I'd like to see, and I think I've said this on this show, I'd like to see Prodigal, that series that George Christic and the whole Mega S.H.E.I.L.D team were working on, that they were pitching to Nickelodeon. I would love to see that. I would love to see these original American cartoon shows show up on Adult Swim first. And I know, there's going to be people out there that say, well, Adult Swim is comedy, and they should stick to what they're doing right. What they're doing right is they're bringing you Attack on Titan. What they're doing right is they brought you Space Dandy. Oh, by the way, Space Dandy comes out first before it comes out in Japan, which never happens. I mean, I think Adult Swim on two separate mediums is doing an awesome job now. So why not take advantage of it? Turner, start throwing more money at them. Make this into the Cartoon Network version of Toonami. Let's just go fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And I especially hope that we get to see more DC stuff, because Batman, I think this Batman series kind of didn't get a chance to really blossom. And I don't think, any other Batman series that comes out needs to have something like this to be able to survive, because you can't put a fucking show at 10 a.m. in the morning. I'm sorry, but unless you're like, what is it, Vortex or some other kids block that's on during the morning, you can't do anything. I don't know. I'm sorry, I kind of went off on 50,000 tangents there, but it's the point, dude. Like, it's dude, we had such good shows, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I wish we had those again, And I really hope that Beware the Batman, gets a better rap. I may not be able to watch all the episodes, but I'm probably going to DVR them just so I can see them. Yeah. Because I'd like to see if this series was actually really good, because I've heard people say it's really good, and I've heard the opposite too. Oh, it's shit.
Yeah, I've seen about 4 or 5 episodes, and that's kind of like, the first, like, even the first episode, like, it's funny that they used that originally the intent was for the show to be like geared towards kids, but like, right. The very first episode, there's Professor Pig and Mr. Toad. Now, I'm not too familiar with Mr. Toad, but I know Professor Pig from the comics. And I kind of just brought him right up on Wikipedia recently, just to kind of refresh my memory. But, his his first appearance was in the comics in 2007. And there's a guy who wears a fucking pig's face, a real pig's face, kind of like, like it's strapped, he wears it like a mask. And for all intents and purposes, I mean, this was kind of like a figure that was very close, very similar to the Saw character from the movies, the Saw movies, where, this was not a kid-friendly character. And they threw him into like the first episode of Beware the Batman, saying where, this guy's chopping people up and fusing animal faces to their faces. I mean, it was kind of like a serious subject, but I mean, but I think, that, it finds its audience. I mean, the people that are into Batman, and it's a new take, and it's once again kind of like how Batman Brave and the Bold did, was trying to focus on characters that weren't necessarily, the A-list characters, but giving them a spotlight so people could kind of familiarize themselves with the universe of DC. Mm-hmm. I'm all for it. And the only reason I haven't watched more episodes of Beyond the Batman is just because I just haven't gotten around to it. I've enjoyed every episode. The other one with the I forgot her name, the Crow or something like that.
Yeah.
Where, she, that one, that was the one they were teasing, like when they did like the first kind of like teaser shots of what the hell was the name of her character? It was something like Black Crow, whatever, and that was kind of like a revamp of an older character. But you gotta give these guys credit for trying to, like, I mean, seriously, how many times can he fight the Joker? So
right. And I like that. To be honest with you, look, don't get me wrong, Batman, a series that you have Batman, you eventually have to introduce the Joker. I agree with that. But don't fight some other people first, and then all of a sudden, like, bring the Joker in, because you can do multiple seasons, but, you have to. I think that we have to bring these characters into a different, I don't know, like, bring these, like, unknown characters out in animated ways that connect with us, you know what I mean? And I think, and I kind of we kind of talked about this on the Toonami Faithful podcast, but I mean, it's, it seems like that we, this could be a good thing for not just Toonami, but this could open the door to having these shows, instead of coming out on Cartoon Network, coming out on Adult Swim. And again, I think coming out on Adult Swim would be a little bit better, because, and I'm not necessarily have fucking Batman start swearing, "You fucking piece of shit, get the fuck over here." No, I'm talking about, like, having it a little bit more, brutal, like, for example, have, like, Daredevil kill somebody. And that's not a DC character, obviously, but, in the live action of Daredevil, in the first 10 minutes, he kills somebody. Don't Swim, do that with a DC character. Come on, let's just, let's just go. Let's just do this. Come on,
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care if it's, look, there's the Justice League War movie. Son of Batman's going to be coming out here soon.
Oh, yeah, you son of a bitch.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. We're keeping quiet about that? Okay.
No, we can keep quiet about. No, I'm not going to keep quiet about that. We'll be doing a review on Son of Batman. You heard it here first. And I know if you actually listen to this show. Anyways, but, like, yeah, like, that was one thing I mentioned. Like, you could do, like, a Son of Batman series. That would be awesome. I think that would be good. And maybe use this new guy that's the voice of Batman, and having him as a character in the background more as, as a support, rather than having him as the main character. Might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. Because the whole idea behind the Son of Batman is the fact that is his son, and that's not really a spoiler, Damian Wayne, whose mother is Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, the guy, that, depending on, what storyline you follow, was a guy that helped train Batman become Batman, or at least, not the guy that or at least taught Batman how to be like a fucking ninja assassin. I think he already knew how to fight and all that other shit by the time he got to Ra's al Ghul, but Ra's al Ghul, like, really kind of gave him like ninja skills, or teaching him how to do, here's a guy who, is the leader of the quote unquote League of Assassins. So,
right.
So here you have this kid that, was raised for like 12 years, not knowing that his father was Batman, but not really having any contact with him. And so he has years, and then plus his mother and his grandfather are the leaders of, like, the biggest criminal organization on the planet. And so, you have this kid who has the temperament of, and don't get me wrong, he's a spoiled brat. He was born into, criminal royalty. So he is spoiled, but that being said, he's also fucking trained, he wants to kill. and he's been trained to kill by his grandfather and his mother. And then, but then he also wants the approval of his father. And of course, Batman never kills. Batman doesn't even use a gun. So right. Batman is more likely to try to incapacitate you before kill you. So I think as a series that would fucking rock. I mean, of course, it would have to be a little more adult because you can't have Robin, Damian Wayne wanting to kill people, on Saturday morning. I don't think that's going to fly. But
yeah,
if they did a Batman and Son or whatever you want to call that version of the cartoon, it would be fucking epic. I mean, and Grant Morrison, a very talented writer for Batman, has tackled that. And of course, spoiler alert, I mean, that Robin gets killed, but I mean, you can have a billion adventures with that.
Yeah, there's a ton of things you could do. And by the way, real quickly before we probably go to commercial break here, there's another animated movie that's coming direct to video again. It's called Batman Assault on Arkham. And it actually has Kevin Conroy as Batman in this one, which is awesome. So, look for that coming out too. No, it looks like it's going to be in the fall. So hopefully I can get a copy of that because I would love to do that one too.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, and once again, you got to give DC credit. Their animated movies are awesome. It kind of changes up the style. It looks a little more anime-ish. I think I mean, obviously it's an American studio, but, they're changing up the style again, but that's, I mean that in the very best way, that they're not staying stagnant. They're changing up the look, and finally we're going to get a movie kind of tackling Arkham Asylum, which is, I'm fucking jazzed for. But also I totally, while I had it in my head, Grant Morrison, also the writer for, the Batman and Robin, where Robin was Damian Wayne. There was another, quote unquote, alternate universe version where it was Damian Wayne as Robin and Batman was Nightwing. Nightwing had taken up the Batman mantle. So it was Nightwing as Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin. And that was a pretty sick series also,
Well, I was saying, the one thing that I was saying last night when we recorded was, on the other podcast was, it would be, because you had mentioned, and I guess I took it from you, but you had mentioned that Nightwing became this covert ops person, anti-terrorist person. I was saying, that would be an interesting series to see how he transitions from being a hero to doing all this anti-terrorism stuff. That might not be a bad idea. And even let's take that out of the equation. Just do a Nightwing series. We never really. I mean, yeah, we've seen Nightwing fight with Batman. We've seen Nightwing turn into a bad guy.
Yeah.
Red Hood. I mean, let's
You could bring in Batman villains. You could bring in Teen Titan villains.
Right, and you don't need to have Batman there all the time. You can have Batman come in and out of that if you wanted to. But now you can take a guy, now you can focus in on this Nightwing character and say, okay, let's take Nightwing and let's see what he does. Who are these enemies that he fights? Now, I'm not saying that you have to have all the Batman villains. You can put new villains in that we don't even know about yet. There are so many possibilities with that. Let's get crazy. Let's fucking go all out like we did back in the fucking days. Let's just do a series, see how it works, and if it sucks, it sucks. What are you gonna do?
I'm all down for it, man.
Yeah, so am I. I just hope we get more American cartoons, period, because don't get me wrong, I love anime. I'm starting to enjoy the stuff that's coming over from Japan, and it is good. And I'm never going to sit there and say that some of this anime is really good, because it is. I just want to see. I just feel like we need to have more American cartoons. Back in the day, we had such good stuff. I just hope that we get to see more of that. Hopefully, people are listening, because that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. So. And I think with that, we're going to segue into our commercials, and we'll be right back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com. And now for listeners of Two Strangers One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. Okay, so
from a very long break.
For a very, very long break, but we were talking all things Batman, and we're in between our little commercial break. We were kind of just showing you kind of sent me a link towards the new Batman Assault on Arkham trailer, which is basically just sort of a origin story of the Suicide Squad. I mean, I know we kind of spent the first we've spent the past half an hour talking about Batman stuff, but this is basically kind of origin story for the Suicide Squad, which I guess looks kind of cool.
Right.
I mean, it looks awesome. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm trying to remember the girl's name, the woman in charge of the Suicide Squad. And I'm just going to look it up right now while we podcast. But my point is that, Amanda Waller, that's her name. Amanda Waller, at least in this trailer, she's a heavy-set black woman, and I remember someone down the line, they were trying to make Amanda Waller kind of they were trying to hip it up and make her attractive and stuff like that. And it's no, Amanda Waller is supposed to be this heavy-set, mean-spirited, angry black woman. I refuse to have them put some, getting some hot, attractive person, this thing, hypothetically, if they got Vivica Fox to play her. No, it's not supposed to be Vivica Fox. It's supposed to be, someone fat and mean. Is that the mom, not Precious, the one that played the mom, Monique, what I'm saying? If you got Monique to play it, okay, I get that. But all right, so we'll move on from the Batman stuff. But there is the Assault on Arkham is basically a Suicide Squad, and it has Deadshot and Harley Quinn, and the voice of Tim Conroy, Tara Strong is Harley Quinn, Deadshot. But Jesus Christ, we just won't shut up about Batman stuff. Okay. Okay, kind of, I guess, I don't know. We were talking about sad stuff earlier, and here's another sad story. Director Bryan Singer, who, we've spoke extensively over, X-Men Days of Future Past, which is coming out real soon. Looks fucking awesome. You got Sentinels shooting lasers from their face. The director Bryan Singer has been accused, and I definitely want to continue to use that word accused, of raping a young boy. Or not young boy, or teenage boy. And a lot of the stuff that I've read, and of course it's very, very graphic details of him forcing this kid to have sex with him, and all under the guise of basically if you do all this sexually degrading stuff for me, I'll get you a job in movies. Bryan Singer, he's directed, the first 2 X-Men movies, The Usual Suspects. I believe he directed Apt Pupil, which is one of my more favorite movies, based on a Stephen King story. I certainly hope this is all just bullshit accusation. People that support Bryan Singer had said basically that this is some sort of bullshit accusations brought up by a lawyer who was known for defending people or representing people who have accused other people of sex charges, but this is some sort of weird. It's basically the lawyer is trying to pump up his business, knowing that Bryan Singer is supposed to be in the news soon promoting Days of Future Past. The lawyer's trying to latch his name onto Bryan Singer and coming up with these accusations, which a lot of people believe are false, to kind of basically be a commercial for his lawyer. For his law firm. Right. That being said, I mean, directors are creepy guys. I mean, when you look at Woody Allen, who, you know, eventually freaking hooked up with a girl that he raised like his daughter, you know, his stepdaughter. If you look at Roman Polanski, you know, a lot of people believe that he's a great, great director. You know, he was banging like a 14-year-old girl that he went to Europe just so he could like get away with, you know, so he can, you know, fight extradition and you know, so, I mean, these are guys who in the art world are considered geniuses, but also are fucking, you know, these guys are real creepy fucking dudes. So, I keep saying allegedly because me as a fan, I don't want to believe it. And, you know, and I am definitely not making an issue of the fact that Bryan Singer is gay, you know, and I hope that with all these accusations, they're not using, you know, people's prejudices towards gays to, kind of put doubt in people's hearts that, you know, maybe he did do all this freaky fucked up shit that they're accusing him of. So, you know, I'm just glad that, I mean, not glad. I hope it's all a lie.
I was like, wait a minute.
I'm not glad. Cause you know, it is, as I'm talking and, you know, you and I are both kind of like distracted by other things. They are, mind you, we're recording this is about 1 o'clock in the morning. Agents of S.H.E.I.L.D. has just finally come back up on TV because earlier today in New York, at least, there was a Boston Red Sox Yankees game, and I was pissed off that the show was postponed, but it's actually coming on now at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm kind of like psyched about that. So let's wrap this shit up. No,
that's what she said.
Well, actually, no, well, we have, I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes, our 2-year anniversary episode. I mean, I know you've been with the show for the past couple of months and you are very much part of Two Strangers, One Podcast. I've said that in the past. If I croak, let it be on record that, you know, I leave everything podcast related to Paul Pasquillo.
Sweet.
By Podomatic, you know, give him the passwords and all this shit, you know, in the event of as long as you're not the person responsible for my death, you know, if I die of natural causes or if I get hit by a city bus.
Damn it, I better fucking call off that,
yeah, do the investigation first. And then if Paul Pasquillo is not behind my death, I leave the podcast to him. Now my book and stuff like that I leave to my daughter, so you ain't getting a piece of that action. But,
damn, I wanted some of that Seneca money. Shit.
But but the book and stuff like that, I'm leaving towards my daughter. But you get the podcast. But we are on the 2-year anniversary. Technically our anniversary was on 4/20, you know, Smoker's holiday.
Yeah.
And, so that's, you know, I do want to thank the people who have been listening, the people who, interact with us on Twitter, the people who've written into the podcast, you know, reached out to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. You know, it's been an awesome 2 fucking years. You know, doing this podcast, it's a labor of love. We don't get paid for it. Yes, we advertise on the show, but trust me, we don't see a fucking dime.
Which reminds me, if you guys want to advertise with us, Two Strangers, One Podcast @gmail.com. Contact Chris and let's get some stuff moving here, because we would love to get some money and, you know, be like, hey, let's throw some money in the air and be like Scrooge McDuck and swim in it, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, of course, I would love to get paid for doing this, but we don't necessarily get paid. If anything, it's an expense for us. But, you know, I just, you know, I love doing it. It's a labor of love. I mean, this is episode 160 and we've, you know, for the past 2 years. So we've been pretty much constant of at least 1 episode a week, you know, hours and hours of original content, you know, and it's a labor of love. And for the people that have listened, thank you. You know, I love you. Thank you for putting up with my nonsense and, you know, valuing my opinion, I guess. And, you know, I mean, luckily we haven't, you know, we haven't gotten much negative. You know, I guess people, if they don't like it, they just won't listen. So the good thing is that we've gotten a lot of positive support. So I just want to thank everybody out there for listening and interacting when they did and when they could. So
does that mean people actually love me? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, they love me. They give me the love that I need, that I can only get from monkey nuts.
Oh God.
But, I mean, super big nerdy news today also. I mean, it was announced a while back, but, Goonies 2 There was, it was trending earlier today that, obviously not only is Goonies 2 going to be made, and it was originally directed by Richard Donner, who did the Superman movies, to keep it in the nerd realm. Goonies is pretty nerdy also. But that was a movie that was executive produced by Steven Spielberg. When you think back into the 80s, Steven Spielberg, who, he was doing E.T. and Goonies was it had the Steven Spielberg kind of like stamp of approval. He was the executive producer. For all intents and purposes, it feels like a Steven Spielberg movie. It was almost like Indiana Jones, but for kids. He has, it was one of his babies, but he let Richard Donner direct it because, quite frankly, he was busy with other projects. And of course, Goonies has turned out to be like a touchstone for kids of, our generation that, it's an awesome, awesome movie. And then, so now they're saying that, Steven Spielberg a while back wrote a rough draft for the script of Goonies 2. And basically it's been announced that, I don't know if they're going to directly use it, but it's going to be the main focus on what the next Goonies movie is going to be. So I think that's fucking awesome. Steven Spielberg, it's fucking Steven Spielberg. You can't, that's all you got to say. He's a guy who's, made movies that have fucking, reinvented the industry, and, they're using his original rough draft script to kind of base the next movie on, which, that's no fucking slouch. So I am like super excited for that. I can't wait for them to just start filming. I want to see it already. And of course I'm pretty sure, a movie of this magnitude, they're probably going to come back and, maybe he will do a full on rewrite, just because he wants to.
That would be awesome.
And, so once again, I'm super excited for that. It's funny, for all the movies that we talk about, comic book influenced movies, one movie that hasn't been getting a lot of love that people haven't really been talking about, but I saw the trailer and I'm interested, is the Sin City sequel. A Dame to Kill For. It's called Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. It looks interesting. I liked Sin City 1. I'd never read the graphic novels, but I'm familiar enough with them where, I believe the movie was very true to the story, and I believe Frank Miller is directing, even though Frank Miller kind of had a big flop with the, what was the one he just did? The Shadow or something like that? It wasn't The Shadow. What's the other one he did?
Which one are we talking about?
Where Samuel L. Jackson was like the bad guy. Shit. I have to look it up. Frank Miller. It's funny for a show that's like, for a person that claims to be like comic book fucking,
right.
Claims to be a comic book fan. I have to do a lot of fucking Facebooking. I have to do a lot of Googling to make sure I got everything correct. But he let me look him up real quick, and I'm sorry, and I'm just vamping for time. Okay. The Spirit, that was the movie that came out that was kind of shit. The Spirit was kind of, using the same, kind of black and white, hyper real, kind of like, all CGI, movie for, kind of like trying to replicate comic books and stuff like that. And in all fairness, at least Sin City was based on a comic book that he wrote.
Right.
And so you can't, I'm definitely not putting him down for, he's copying his own style, but then he tried to do it with the Spirit, and the Spirit was like a character from like the fucking 20s, and it just really didn't translate into today's world. But the new Sin City, A Dame to Kill For looks good. I think if you liked Sin City, you'll like A Dame to Kill For, but it's getting like no love. Like I don't see anybody talking about it. I happened to come across the trailer by accident, and then so I'm going to give it a shot when it comes out, because it doesn't come out for a little while. But for all the movie, we're here still, we're talking about movies that aren't going to come out till like 2015, 2016, and here we got a movie coming out real soon, and it's getting no love. The Spirit sucked, but I think Sin City 2 is going to be at least semi decent. Okay, so I had just finished rereading the Infinity Gauntlet series from Marvel, which is basically, I think all these Avengers movies are kind of leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet. They had the teaser of Thanos at the end of the Avengers. I think that, of course, obviously they're going in the direction of doing an Infinity Gauntlet movie. I'm excited about it. People seem to forget that, we have an Ant-Man movie coming out, Ant-Man being a part of the, Avengers. There's a unnamed project coming out, which I'm 99% sure is going to be the Professor Strange movie. Cause all these characters, and of course with Guardians of the Galaxy coming out, two of the characters in the movie, being, Dax the Destroyer and, Gamora, are two characters that have personal vendettas against Thanos. So all these movies are leading up to an Infinity Gauntlet. That's probably going to be like Avengers 3 or whatever. I understand they have to do not that they don't have to do an Ultron movie, but, I could see why they would do it. But, there's going to be all the Phase 3 movies, and then I think the third Avengers is going to be the Infinity Gauntlet kind of, and then Thor has a big part. All the Avengers characters, even though, of course, when in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book, you also had, Silver Surfer and Spider-Man, and obviously Silver Surfer and Spider-Man aren't going to be in whatever Infinity Gauntlet movie that comes out, but, we're eventually going to see an Infinity Gauntlet movie, which excites the shit out of me. Right now, I guess you said that earlier before the show we were talking about people that might be directing the next Star Trek 3 movie.
Yeah, Rubio, it was Rubio?
Roberto Orci.
Roberto, yeah. You were telling me that apparently he's a J.J. Abrams guy, not to quote.
Kurtzman and Orci are kind of, they work together a lot. And they wrote the first two Star Trek movies. Of course, they also wrote the first two Transformer movies also. So that's kind of that doesn't really. But they're the executive producers for Transformers Prime. They've written episodes of Lost. They were the driving force behind, along with J.J. Abrams, the driving force behind Fringe, which I loved. Fringe season 3 is just like one of the best seasons of any kind of science fiction TV show. So I think it's only going to be natural that Roberto Orci is going to be the one directing Star Trek 3. That being said, because you had said they're also contemplating the guy who did Attack the Block, which was that British movie about like aliens attacking the projects, which, I haven't seen it, but it sounds awesome. Now that, that's sort of like the whole team of like Simon Pegg, the guys behind Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, if those were the guys behind the Star Trek movies, I think the guy from Attack the Block would be directing Star Trek 3, but I can't see how Roberto Orci isn't going to end up getting the Star Trek 3 directing role because, that's J.J. Abrams' right hand man and he wrote the first two movies, so, come on.
Right. Well, I was going to say real quick, I'm actually seeing now, to give a little update, it looks like Sting has technically made his debut, but not like on TV, so to speak. He's on actually WWE Network, where they're paying tribute to the Warrior, Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, okay.
And there's a video out there of him talking about the Warrior and, all that stuff. So, it looks like we're starting to see a little bit of Sting. So it should be interesting to see how this pans out. I just want to say
the Warrior around bringing Sting back and
yeah. Well, I'm hoping to see, I'm hoping to see Undertaker show up so we can see, what's going to happen here. Because I would love to see what's going on. So
yeah, because let's just say even if technically the Undertaker never wrestles again, he could always come back and shoot promos. You know what I'm saying? He could always kind of come and get the audience all amped up or whatever. And, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do some shit where, like, the Undertaker comes out to start a promo against Sting, but then someone else comes out and attacks Sting. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Undertaker comes out and then, like, a third person, the Big Show comes out and attacks Sting. Then all of a sudden, we lose the focus from Undertaker and then it becomes a Big Show Sting rivalry for the next couple of months. I mean, I'm just saying, that unfortunately, some of this stuff has become pretty predictable. And I'm just totally bringing that up on my own volition. I don't have no insider information.
But I think, and I just want to say this about wrestling, because I am I do pay attention to wrestling, because I'm like one of those wrestling fans that's in and out, sometimes it really, really sucks, and sometimes you're like, yeah, I gotta be fucking into this shit, The one thing that I've noticed about wrestling is WWE has really, really they just really dominate. Like, they don't, now with WWE Network, there's nothing else that can compete with that, TNA Wrestling apparently is going down in ratings. It's not doing as well as it should be. So, it's going to be interesting to see if we start to see more TNA wrestlers. And I would love to, personally, and I know he probably never listens to the show, but I would love to see Samoa Joe on there. I think there would be some really good matches. And then I heard that AJ Styles isn't with TNA anymore. I'm like, dude. Bring yourself to WWE. I'm sure they would love you. So
I'm pretty sure there's stuff in the works.
Oh, I'm sure.
They just gotta work on it in their own, they gotta, they probably have stuff that they're tackling right now, and then we'll get to the good stuff. I don't know. And also I just want to say real quick, I'm seeing the new commercials for Godzilla. And it's funny that like how the commercials of at least the most recent trailer kind of focuses like on the people affected by Godzilla. Like there's like a woman on the phone with her husband. I guess he's about to go and fight Godzilla, and he's talking to her like he may not ever come back. And that was the one thing that always bothered me with Godzilla movies, is that I really didn't care about the human drama. I just wanted to see a monster destroy a city. So even though this movie looks good, and I'm pretty sure the human stories are gonna be decent, I just don't like movies when they make you, if the movie's called Godzilla, I want to see Godzilla. I really don't care about the soldier that's leaving his wife to fight the monster and he may never come back. I don't care about that. I just want to see a monster tearing shit up, And even when you watch the old-fashioned Godzilla movies, like I don't care about, whenever they tell the story of whatever Asian guy or whatever, they always kind of have like these side stories. I don't care. I just want to see a giant monster rip shit up,
Right.
Movies called Godzilla,
Well, I've heard some some good things about it. I've heard that first of all, it actually looks like Godzilla finally. Mm-hmm. And then I've heard some rumors that there's actually going to be more monsters in this one. So it's not just Godzilla. Apparently he fights other monsters too. So this should be interesting. And
yeah. You kind of see something that looks like an insect leg or whatever in the trailer for like real quick, which obviously leaves it nice and open for sequels.
Right. So, hopefully we'll get to see some more stuff, because I would like this. First of all, I'd like it to do well. Second of all, I'd like to see it, expand out to do more Godzilla movies, because I do think it deserves to have, something of a run.
Yeah. So. I'm just saying is that all these movies are, when you see a movie, we go to see them, like I'm going to see Godzilla to see Godzilla. Not that there's anything wrong with the human stories, but fuck the human stories. I want to see Godzilla. I don't care. Right. I really don't care that his soldier's telling his wife the last goodbye because he's about to go fight this giant 800-foot monster. No, I want to see the 800-foot monster. If I wanted to see the soldier, I'd see a movie called The Soldier Saying Goodbye to His Wife. Or whatever. So, all right, let's wrap this up.
Let's put a thing on it.
Let's put a condom on it. Let's put a cap on it. Like we mentioned before, you can email us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. If there's anything you want to talk about, or you can hit us up at Stranger Podcast on Twitter. The little A symbol, what they call that, the A symbol, I forgot what it's called. The @Stranger Podcast, kind of, if you want to send us. I never really put my Twitter name up there. I know you do. I just, for some reason, I kind of keep my personal Twitter and the podcast Twitter separate. But, hit us up at Stranger Podcast. Of course, visit visit 2s1p.com. That's 2s1p.com. It's real quick, real easy to type. Not as bad as twostrangersonepodcast.com because we don't own that name anymore. But once again, 2s1p.com.
One day.
Two fingers up your ass.
Two fingers, one podcast will be possible soon.
And so, you can go to that website. There you'll find the links to our iTunes, or you could just go to the iTunes store, just click the podcast, tab in the upper right corner, search for Two Strangers One Podcast to see our beautiful red, white, and blue logo. If you don't have an iPhone, iPad, iPod, you can subscribe to us on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER. And every time a new episode comes out, it'll automatically be, connected to your account. You could do Wi-Fi downloading. So if you don't want to waste your data while you're out on the street or you're driving around, you could go home while you're on your Wi-Fi network, download all the 6 most current episodes, put them on your phone or whatever your device you're using. And then while you're out and about, listen to us while you're driving to work, while you're jogging, while you're exercising, while you're goofing off at work, whatever happens, you can listen to us, so you're not really using your data while you're out in the street. You can download all the episodes onto your device while you're at home on your Wi-Fi network. Stitcher, it's a great app. Any podcast worth listening to, Chris Hardwick's The Nerdist, Kevin Smith's Smodcast, Mark Maron, Adam Carolla, This American Life, NPR, and of course the Toonami Faithful podcast are all available on Stitcher, along with iTunes. I mean, you can't go wrong with iTunes. I mean, of course, we have our Podomatic hosting site. So if you find us on Facebook at facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast, you can listen to us while you're doing your regular Facebook stuff. You can just click on the link at facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast. Once again, that's all spelled out. And if you subscribe to us, you'll get the links. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of likes on our page, which I paid for, but I didn't realize that they were like bogus likes. I thought they were genuine likes. It was just one of those deals that Facebook basically was scamming people. So unfortunately, only like a percentage of the people get the updates when we send them out on Facebook. I think if we have more interaction, if you interact with us on our Facebook page, it will make you more likely to get our updates when they come out. But that's neither here or there.
Right.
You know how to reach us on the internet if you want to reach us at gmail.com, Twitter, technically on Facebook if you want to email the page direct message the page directly. Those are all the ways you can find us. And Paul, I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
Why, thank you. You can find me at Paul Pascrillo on Twitter. It's PESCRILO. You can also find me on Tumblr. It's paulpascrillo.tumblr.com. And I also have an ask.fm. I'd like to hear more ask.fm stuff from people that are actually listening to this podcast. It's ask.fm/Paul Pascrillo. Ask me questions. Like, I would love to ask non-Toonami questions, I have a lot of fun with this podcast, so please, ask me any questions that you have, and, also listen to me on the Toonami Faithful podcast. We made a little announcement that I'm not going to spoil for Chris right at the moment, and I'll tell him in a minute. Either he'll kill me or throw me out the window or whatever, but whatever. So you want to listen to that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to reviewing Son of Batman and bringing that out for you guys, and also keep an eye on Geeky Inc. Productions. We're going to be putting the podcast there, as well as some other nerdcore related things coming up. So that's the only hint I'm giving you. So you're gonna have to keep your ears out and open to see what I have coming up. So,
and that's Geeky GEEKEINC.com. Geeky Inc. So
GeekyInc.com. That'll be the podcast will be posted up there every week now. So if you can't find it and you're like, I don't know where it is, here it's right there. More traffic. I'm sure that did this week's podcast get more traffic?
I believe so. The downloads have been freaking awesome, and we're getting downloads in New Zealand, we're getting downloads in Australia, we're getting downloads in Scotland, Chile and Venezuela. It's just really, it's pretty fucking awesome.
Hi, foreign people.
Yeah. And I know, I guess it's kind of weird that we're talking about like Rochester stuff while, but I think, people kind of like listen for the nerdy stuff.
Oh yeah, they listen to that stuff. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome.
But I think it's sleepy time.
Yeah. It's getting kind of late and I kind of want to watch Agents of S.H.E.I.L.D. So
we've already kept you on this podcast long enough, so.
Yeah. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye.
See you later, bitches.
You should be fapping.
In front of Chris.
Monkey nuts. I love you.
Oh my God.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double
it?
Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
Look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled C-O-L-O-N.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking, are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea, man. Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will totally read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonePodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonePodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.